this opportunity. Hi, Stephen.
Morning, Puleng.
Thanks
for
so
the
much.
opportunity to have a chat this morning about a topic that's really important.
Thank you so much for taking time to engage us on Tech Africa. So, Stephen, for those unfamiliar with Adumo payouts, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. Adumo Payouts, we're a South African business. We operate in the fintech environment, and we're part of a larger listed group, which is called Lusaka Technologies, which is arguably the largest fintech business in South Africa. Adumo Payouts as a business, it's actually quite simple. It's exactly that. We do payouts for businesses, whether it be for driving incentive payments, rewards, or different forms of expense payout solutions. And ultimately, what we're looking to do is help organizations actually shift a behavior in terms of their employees or the people they're trying to incentivize. And the ultimate benefit of that is that it improves the overall performance of the company.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's really in a nutshell what we can do. And when we get into the conversation, I can give you some great examples of what we've done before.
So tell me about the incentive payout solutions. Why are they so important for junior miners in particular?
Yeah, so we, as Adumo Payouts, work with probably about 500 different businesses across South Africa, across many verticals. But the mining sector is particularly important. And as you referenced, the junior miners as well, is these businesses at the end of the day, like many businesses, they've got shareholders that they report into. They want to look for ways to achieve their financial objectives and business results. Got to make sure that they've got continued production and that they also don't have accidents on the mine. Now, this particular area, for many years, it's always been seen that the large mining houses, these incentivization programs and solutions are really only applicable to them. And this is where we argue that actually it's just as relevant to the junior miners, and more importantly, it's just as accessible. So effectively in this space, what we do is we've developed this tool and a solution where junior miners can have there, as an example, safety incentive programs in place, or programs in place where they can drive, let's call it continued production, anything that will introduce or increase productivity in the mine. And this is where we come in and we're saying, this is just accessible, whether the mine's got 200 or 20,000 employees, organizations can still use the technology. And what we've done is we've come up with a way that makes it super accessible for them from the tech that we've developed and built. And at the end of the day, what we're really doing is saying to those miners, it's just as relevant for them to implement these types of schemes in their business, because things like safety records, production goals, and sustainability metrics are just as important to any organization. It doesn't matter how big or how small they are.
And your approach puts a strong emphasis on trying safety and performance directly to financial incentives. Can you share how this then works in practice, and maybe a success story of how this has been used?
Sure, absolutely. So, again, we talk about the mining industry, and one of the most important things in the mining industry is safety and sustainability. If there's an accident or fatality on the mine, it has a massive impact on that mine, not just on the workforce and the morale of the workforce, but it impacts and it discontinues or interrupts production. It's got a broader impact on the community itself. So the importance of making sure that that's focused, that there's a high level of focus. Now, this is exactly where we come in. Although we've built out the tech, actually we just see the tech as really a means to what they're trying to achieve. So by way of example, if Puleng, you're a miner and you're earning a salary, the reality is in the mining sector in South Africa, many of those miners are on the lower end of the, call it, earning bracket or the LSM bracket. We know that that sector has got high levels of debt. Often, sadly, many times their salaries are subject to garnishee orders, or their accounts are often overdrawn. So even if I'm offering you an opportunity to say, Puleng, if, for example, like after a certain amount of days or a period of time, we have a certain amount of accident-free days or fatality-free days, I'm going to offer you this incentive. But if I'm paying it to you through the traditional means of getting your bank account, and for the reasons I mentioned, you don't often get to see that. You never get the benefit of the incentive. And that's where we've come in. We've effectively created this tool where we can disperse funds directly onto an Adumo payouts card. We've built it on the payment rails of MasterCard, which means you can go and take your card where we've issued funds onto, and you can spend it anywhere in the country. You can spend it online. You can withdraw cash. It gives you a real capability, and suddenly you feel really incentivized because you've focused your behavior. You've done the right behavior, and now you felt the immediate gratification or the immediate benefit of the actions. So that's just giving an example. We've worked with. You wanted me to give a specific example. We can't always mention the names of some of the bigger clients as they, for confidentiality reasons. But we worked with one of the largest iron ore mines in the Northern Cape, where they're dispersing funds to cards for thousands of employees. But similarly, as I said, we can scale this down to an organization such as junior miners, where they're looking to potentially incentivize as few as 10 people and drive a very positive shift in behavior. So that gives you a good example, and I'm happy to share some more detail around the tech angle as well that's enabled us to achieve that.
Yes, please tell us about the tech side of things.
Great. So I think that's an important one. You know, if you look at waiting for, let's call it an incentive to hit your bank account at the end of the month, and where you don't even get to benefit to see it, we've built out across our platform, first of all, a capability for our client, let's say the junior miner, to be able to disperse funds. So we built out a portal for them, and that portal gives that employer the capability at any point in time to disperse funds onto any one of the employees, call it cards, in a digital fashion. So that, and the whole important what we talk about here is the nature of trying to get as close to instant gratification as possible. So by way of example, if today is the 18th of May and a company hits a safety record, we can ensure that actually the payments are processed this afternoon and those funds are live into the person's card that we've issued with them. So it's that technology layer that we've built it on the payment rails. In addition to that, what's really important is the recipient, the person now, the miner that's done that good behavior, has access to a portal. So they're instantly getting a notification that they've been rewarded for their good behavior. They can log online onto a portal that we've created. We've created technology as well, bearing in mind that target market. Many still use old feature phones. So we've also created USSD technologies to do things like seeing what's the balance on my card, how much have I got, where have I actually spent my card. And to take it one step further, one of the companies we work with actually have their own employee engagement app.
Yeah.
So all employees are required to use the employee engagement app on a daily basis. And we've integrated our solution into that. So not only when an employee has been rewarded, immediately in the app that they use, they can see that they've received their reward instantly. And that really drives a level of, call it self-empowerment. So that's really the tech level. And then I'm happy as well to elaborate very briefly in terms of how that can then drive further financial inclusion.
Okay, I want to now, you'll get to that, Stephen. I just want to look at what makes your platform different from others that are in the market.
Well, I think the traditional means of doing payment or disbursements via, let's call it EFT and bank account, they have their place for processing of salaries in the normal fashion.
Yeah.
In this scenario, and that's for the persons call it day-to-day expenses, where we're unique in this space is that capability that we built that sits out of that solution. I've given you a reward. It's tangible. We still actually use card and physical cards, and there's a long place for that. And we believe those are around. They're going to be around for many years to come because of the high level of the tangible nature, There's a very high level of trust with those. There's no friction in using that in a retail environment. And in addition to that as well, what we've done is we've created a very accessible environment for our organization from a support and a service perspective. So we recognize that we've created choice for the, call it, end users. And we know when they have kind of any, call it, service or support queries, that we've always got to be accessible to them. Yeah. So in that respect, we've developed a solution where it's accessing any kind of service on your phone, USSD technology, created a portal. But in addition to that, we've still made sure that we know many of the card holders, and in a particular segment we talk to, still want to talk to a human being, and they want to speak to them in a language of their own choice. So in that respect, our call center offers services in all of the national 11 languages. And so it's that combination of the technology and the service offering that we believe we've created a unique value proposition to the market.
And affordability and accessibility are key concerns rather for junior miners. How then your solution cater to companies with limited budgets?
Well, I think that is a really important point. And everyone, or there's this perception that these are only accessible really for these large organizations. So from an accessibility point of view, what we've developed is really a very affordable and cost-effective solution into the junior miners. And I think one of the important things is when people think about technology or technology platforms, there's this perception that this whole implementation process that needs to take place and can take many months or many weeks. In our case, we engage a lot with the various stakeholders, whether it be the mine management, the unions, if they need to get their sort of blessing on this. But from an implementation point of view, we've actually positioned our business, you could almost call it, we're all familiar with the 60-60 concept of when you want to order your groceries from that particular retailer. It's no different. What we've done is we've positioned ourselves in creating this, call it 60-60 onboard platform, so that we could actually sign up and onboard a new, call it junior miner, literally within 60 minutes, if they provided us with all the correct information. So I think the important thing is there's actually zero onboard cost for these organizations, and there is zero fixed cost as well. So we've positioned this as that we've actually linked it, our value proposition from a financial perspective, to transaction fee based pricing, so that as the organization scales up the usage, they'll land up obviously then making sure that they get the real value from it. If they implement it and they never use it, they're never going to spend a cent. It's not going to cost them a cent on that. So I want to touch on that. And then just very briefly, if I may just segue to the card holders from an inclusivity point of view, is we know that sector of the market at the lower end have got real financial challenges in this country. As I said, high levels of debt, very often unauthorized debit orders. Very often it's difficult to save money. We know in this country, we've got the concept of Mampara week. I think in South Africa it might be 3 weeks of a Mampara week.
So for me it's the whole month.
There we go. So in this case, your traditional salary is going to hit your bank account, but any other safety or any other incentives, whether it be incentives relating to production or safety, we've dispersed onto our own financial Adumo card. And the beauty of that is it's as close to cash, except significantly more safe and secure. And what it does is that really, Puleng, this is money that's hit your own, call it Adumo card, kept away from your account. Therein actually lies how we shift your behavior shifts, because now suddenly you feel like actually you've got that opportunity to save. We developed this as a solution that can continually be topped up and reloaded. So whether you deciding that you're going to keep your card for the end of the year and keep all your incentives and save that for, end of the year, Christmas, or going away, or even that it's mid-month and now you've got access to funds immediately. Those are all the scenarios where we see, and we've seen it's definitely uplifted and created a capability to drive financial inclusion. And ultimately what we're doing is we're driving a way that puts more money in your back pocket and increases your spending power.
Stephen, I'm going to have to end our chat right here. Thank you so much for chatting to us on Tech Africa. And it's good news that we're hearing this morning, especially for junior miners. I hope that we have some of them listening so that they can also get to reap the benefits of your platform.
Thank you, Puleng.
All right. It's Steve Mallaby, who is CEO of Adumo Payouts. It is now just, time really